bid opening, and then we'll have the clerk do that.
This is the bid opening for the 2024 Joint Agency Pavement Striping Project. We received one bid. This bid is from Specialized Pavement Marking LLC. The total amount for the schedules A, B, and C is $764,007. And that's the conclusion of this bid opening.
Okay. We'll move on to the Public Works. Would you like to tackle HOJ right at the beginning?
Sure, yes, we
Okay.
do. Mike Moss, Public Services Director, along with Savannah Clement, Deputy Director. I know Savannah has been emailing you guys updates along with, I think, Risk Management and OFM the last 2 weeks. I'll have Savannah maybe give you an overview of what's been going on for the last week or two.
Yeah, so over about a week and a half, we've been responding to some air quality concerns, and we've had some testing done. And we've also had some requests made from folks on the second floor. So although the preliminary results came back that the air quality within the building were within normal ranges, we do still have some requests to have certain departments on that second floor move out of that location. We're supportive of that request from a facilities public services standpoint. We're kind of waiting for a plan of action and remediation for potential hazards, specifically to that northern stairwell, which is closed down at this time and not accessible to the public or staff. But honoring their wishes to kind of vacate that area due to health concerns, we would like to support that and accommodate that request. And so I think the board has today a copy of a resolution delegating some authority to the Public Services Director, Mike Moss, to be able to take that on and make some decisions without having to come to the board for that approval in the official setting. So that's kind of why we're here today. I believe there are some folks online, if there's specific questions to that second floor, those second floor departments. And that's kind of why we're here today, just a really high level update for you guys, and then some hoping to get some approval for some delegation.
Yeah. So Commissioner, do you want to handle the resolution approval first and then go into others, or do you want other information first?
No, let's go ahead with the
So
resolution.
the resolution will basically delegate authority to the Public Service Director, Mike Moss, to remediate and make decisions on relocation if necessary. So it's a resolution, I believe it was drafted by Doug. So, and I think you have a copy of in there. So
Mhm.
if you want to do that, we can take a motion on that and then.
Yeah. Mr. Chairman, I move that we approve the resolution in the matter of interim amendments to Chapter 5.12 of the procurement and county policies to allow for expedited and centralized approval on services and repairs for air quality remediation at the Hall of Justice building. I won't read through the whole thing.
Okay. Any questions on that we see?
I will have questions, but I'm perfectly happy going through and finding this and
Okay.
approving it. That's partly because it's interim. Is there a timetable on here?
I think there's a sunset clause in this resolution of 180 days.
There it is. I see it now.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay, and there's a fair amount of trust here that this will be used appropriately, of course.
Correct.
And the trick is always going to be what it is that you're going to do. If there is opportunity, make sure you keep us apprised.
Of course,
Yeah.
yes.
And it does have some dollar limits that if you exceed, it looks like you got to come back.
That's correct.
Okay.
Yeah, just for the public, the dollar amounts, as I recall reading, 250,000.
350. Section 2.
Section 3 is, yeah, okay, section 2.
Oh, there's two different ones.
Yeah, believe the 350 is for the small works roster and the 250 is the professional services agreements.
Okay.
At some point, the director of finance is going to say, are you going to take up a collection?
True.
Anyhow, but I know you have great sensitivities there, so.
Yes.
I'm done.
Okay. Okay. I don't see any further questions. You seen any? Okay, we'll call the question. All those in favor?
Aye.
I also vote aye. Okay, I think you already have plans in the works for getting people in there and trying to remediate this as quickly as possible.
Correct. I'll give you a quick update if you'd like.
Yeah.
As of Monday, June 10th, we closed the north stairwell just temporarily due to increased air testing on the elevated microbial levels were detected in the north stairwell. At that point, we did close it down, the stairwell, and then put two dehumidifiers in that location. Tomorrow morning, we do have a third party to come in and look at that stairwell and kind of give us an idea where the water intrusion came from and remediation after the fact. First, we got to find out where that water is coming from before we try to fix it. We also put a couple of air scrubbers in the second floor hallways. And then yesterday mounted more CO2 monitors in the hallways also. It's coming up, we're doing more sampling and testing of the air tomorrow morning, starting at 6:30 of different areas on the first and second, and I believe the third floor. Doing electrical assessment. There's some issues of smells on the second floor jury room number 3. So we have an electrician going in there today to see if we can find that smell or help locate that smell. We're getting 2 more quotes tomorrow for ductwork cleaning. We've got 1 bid already. And we got new filters put in the HVAC system last month, but we're now going to put carbon air filters in. We ordered those today, very similar to the ones we have in the air scrubbers in the hallway, just for the whole building to have the same ones that the second floor has. So those are the items that we're working on this week.
Yeah, so from initial reports a week and a half ago, in our response, essentially there was an earthy smell. And since then, we've kind of found out in that north stairwell, there's some elevated levels of microbes, whatever those may be, shutting that down, isolating the water source, and then remediation to follow. That's where we're at. And so that plan of action, which we've worked in conjunction with risk, is to, again, enable those divisions that would like to move on the second floor and helping them and accommodating those requests as we can through facilities and IT. The most resources used, I think, are going to be the staff hours and time with IT and facilities and moving some of their, their fixtures and their computers and stuff over to other areas. So we do have a plan. We've been working with those departments on the plan and the location. We'll work out some of those kinks with security in conjunction with risk. Tell you have a question.
I have way too many questions.
Great.
But I'm trying to separate the looking past for lessons learned to looking forward to solutions. And I'm not sure how much time we should spend on looking the past. I'll just give you a flavor. We've owned a building for 5 decades plus.
Yes. Yes.
And maybe 4 years ago, we re-roofed.
Yes.
Approximately, yes, that's
Yeah.
correct.
So I would think that we would and this problem hasn't occurred before, to the best of my knowledge. You're all above ground here. We're not talking about anything below ground level.
That's correct. That's-
Correct.
Yes.
Yeah. And so, is this a harbinger of the plumbing and the building is bad? I mean, things don't miraculously happen.
I can
Okay, sorry.
try to answer that. We think that the water source there's a lot going on the roof. There's a lot of equipment there. We have vendors that come in, they install, they remove, they repair their work. There's also some caverns that are we think it's coming from the overhang, and there are some hatches up there. We think that there's a water leak of some sort coming through, running down the side and entering in on this particular side of the building, which is on that northern stairwell. We can see effervescence, so where the oxidation has occurred on that wall through the cement, which is not toxic, it's harmless, but you can see it. So, which means there's been water present, right? So we do know somewhere it's coming in, and it's coming in like almost halfway down. So we don't know if there's an envelope, as Kathy's mentioned before, on the side of the building where water's running down and hitting there. So we have some, what do we call them? Water leak specialists coming tomorrow morning to essentially chase this down. And then we'll go from there.
So I would think, and maybe I would hope that the solution is actually fairly easy once the identification is taking place. And
Exactly
that's
right.
the hard
Correct.
part.
We agree with that. Yes.
Yes.
And the cleaning out, and I've cleaned up stuff like that before, it's just not a big deal.
No.
Okay, then the next question, where are you finding the space, and is it really necessary if you can do remediation immediately, trying to move, I've thought about moves certainly involving the HOJ, and it's a monumental effort. And I'd hate to spend $1 million or so on something for 2 weeks that probably wasn't necessary. And that's kind of, I'm not trying to be obnoxious. I'm just trying to understand it's a lot of money that we're seeing there, a lot of inconvenience. I heard that the trials have been canceled for the next 2 weeks. Is that right?
Jury trials.
The
So
jury trials.
correct. That is correct.
Yeah, I find that deplorable.
So where the housing will be on campuses of the county already, so we're not actually leasing facility space, but you are correct, there'll be a lot of staff time, mainly on the IT side, I believe, staff time to make this move. And we're hoping it is short-term. It is, an inconvenience, I'm sure, for the second floor staff or whoever decides to move from the second floor, and for the teams that are going to move them. But at the wishes of the second floor, we're giving them the opportunity, if we have space in other buildings, to move temporarily.
Yeah, we're not requiring a move. It's not an evacuation, but again, it's an accommodation due to some of the effects on some staff.
Yeah, going back to the first part, how long does it take for a condition like this to produce the effervescence?
Oh, great question.
Yeah, I believe after visiting with the air analyst today, it's been going on for a while.
Yeah.
And I'd say while as in years,
Years.
I believe so.
Did you guys
Not-
get a different impression? Yeah.
Just you don't see the visualization of that line until it builds up and that curve starts to show.
Yeah, I'm familiar with that, unfortunately. Not in this case, but just in other cases. I'm just offering an encouragement that our inspection should be probably a little more
Yes.
intense in the future.
I agree.
Okay. Anything else?
You shouldn't ask it that way. You're done, aren't you, Arn?
Yes. So we'll continue to give you updates probably daily with emails, and be seeing you
Okay.
guys on, at least on Monday and Wednesday of next week.
To date, just in speaking to the costs, for the air quality consultant, I think we've we will be spending approximately $6,000-ish so far with these, even with the further testing. So, as far as terms of expense goes, I would consider it pretty reasonable compared to some other quotes we received of the upper 20,000s. So that's kind of where we're at right now without starting the staff time. So just give you an idea.
And who knows what the remediation cost will be. If it's as easy as a water leak from a roof source, it'll be easy and less expensive. But of course, we'll know more once we dive into it.
Right.
Yeah. Ironic, we were just talking about this building yesterday and the issues that we have with it.
And we have right? I mean, we have older buildings older than the hall, but it's just problematic there.
Do we still have the leak here?
No. We just paint it every other week so you don't see it.
Yeah.
After hours.
We've had,
You didn't smell that fresh paint smell?
you've seen the meetings here where there's a
Yeah, yeah, I have.
couple of buckets out there.
Or the juvenile center,
Yeah.
Oh,
they
yeah.
got garbage cans.
They do. Yes.
Yeah,
All right.
the problem with the garbage cans, when they get so full, they're hard to move.
Yeah.
We have another item
Sure.
from Public Works. Susan has one item, if you guys don't mind.
Nope, we don't mind this.
And I want to thank you for handling this affair. This is, yeah.
You're welcome.
Sorry. go
That's
ahead.
okay. Good afternoon, Susan Eugenius, County Engineer. I've received a request from TURWA, Three Rivers Regional Wastewater Authority. Since Patrick Harbison left, he was the voting representative on the operating board, and I was his alternate. And due to the way they set up their structure, they are requesting that you designate myself as the voting representative and then have a alternate named for me. So I am recommending that we go ahead and do that and have the alternate be Chris Andrews, who's one of the senior engineers in the staff.
You okay? You're okay with that?
I'm fine with that, but they need a letter from the board on letterhead designating that.
Sounds good. And how many signatures do you need on that? Probably just the chairman's.
I imagine just the chairman's fine.
So you got the approval of two of us,
Oh,
if I can include you.
okay, we, do you have a sample of what they want?
If she
Sometimes
doesn't,
they
I can
provide
find
us
the
a
end one.
sample of what they like,
Yeah.
that's probably easiest, yeah.
Okay,
Okay,
that's all I had, because I thought you guys were going to be busier on that other item, so I just brought my easy one.
And Susan is on vacation for the next 2 weeks, which is great for her. And for us.
Are-
They're tired of me. They want me to
So-
go away.
So everybody's on vacation for the next 2
Yeah.
weeks, is that what you're saying, Mike?
Yes.
So you're going to be celebrating an extended Juneteenth?
I'm celebrating Father's Day, Juneteenth, my birthday, my sister-in-law's birthday. I had one of my great nephew's birthdays.
Mike Moss is as a supervisor day.
What day is that?
I'm thinking if the smart employee would say every day.
Every day, that's right.
Every February 29th, we'll make it Mike Moss.
Thank
Day.
you.
Oh, we had one this year then.
I missed it.
I think you were on vacation.
I was. Yeah. So those are the only items today we have. We knew that, we thought the agenda might be a little fuller depending on then the resolution came in, which
Right.
cleaned up the agenda quite a bit. So we
Okay.
shortened our agenda. So
No.
I apologize. I know we have ARPA today at
2:30.
2:30 along, I believe, with animal control.
Are you going to be here for that?
I was going to stay for the ARPA, yes,
Good.
in case you guys had questions.
All right.
I'm probably going to start visiting with other people in different departments.
Yeah. Okay.
All right. Thank you.
Well, I'm glad we were able to get that kind of wrapped up fairly easily.
I appreciate it.
Yeah.
I'm just surprised at how expert you crafted this thing.
Yeah. Google. Sorry, Doug.
His new name is Google?
Yeah.
Okay, then we don't have anything till 2:30. We'll just recess till then.
Unless somebody, I don't see any hands up.
Yeah, I don't see any. Okay, we'll recess till 2:30. She goes, should I call him over by the recording? I said, yeah, hit the button. Okay, we're back from recess and we got, looks like we're looking at some changes on animal control code. Okay,
The green light? Much better.
Thank you. Learned my lesson in a trial with this depressed button. Senior Deputy Jason Lorraine with Cowles County Prosecuting Attorney. I'm joined by my colleague David Berger, also Senior Deputy with Cowles County Prosecuting Attorney, as well as Jordan Spencer, who is the Chief Administrative Deputy with the Cowles County Sheriff's Office. Gentlemen, we are here because in January of this year, the sheriff took over the role of basically becoming the county's dog catcher when they took over as the Animal Control Authority. When we saw that, we became concerned with processes and procedures, not least of which
Excuse me,
was
in this case, who's the we,
the prosecuting attorneys, the civil division did, yes. We were concerned with due process. We recognize that the code was created and written in 1985, section 612, or chapter 612. And it's my impression that it had not been amended since 1994. So there's been a couple iterations, but few since major developments in the animal code with align with the RCWs of 1652 and 1608. So we evaluated that code, our code, 612, and determined that it definitely needed an overhaul. Specifically in regards to notice that is provided for any animal that is impounded, that we did. In order to do that, we looked at the new amendment to 1652-085 RCW, which is the state's impoundment code, and we elected to adopt language very similar to that code because it includes a great amount of notice and due process to provide to the citizens of Cowles County. In addition, it also it removes this responsibility of costs and care from the Animal Control Authority and places that responsibility on the shoulders of the individuals that any animal has been removed from. So while doing that, we also recognize that because in January 2024, we needed, when the sheriffs effectively took over as the Animal Control Authority, there needed to be some language within the code that gives them the power to do so. this body is the only body that can effectively do that. And so we wrote that into 612-210. While we were in the process of amending this code, our chief civil deputy brought to our attention that we should really consider the effects of litigation that have been ongoing in the northern portions of the state in regards to the designation of potentially dangerous animals and dangerous animals. I looked at the code, reviewed it also with my colleague David Berger, and it was pretty clear that the current code does not provide enough due process to individuals whose animals are in the process of designation for potentially dangerousness or for dangerousness. In addition, we were aware of those litigation problems. That prompted an investigation into what other counties do in response to this. As I'm learning in this new role in the civil realm, it's better to learn from other people's mistakes than your own. And by that, I mean, we looked at what has occurred with Lewis County and Pierce County and other counties who have been sued for not providing an adequate amount of due process to individuals whose dogs have been designated as potentially dangerous or dangerous. And so we wrote what is now 613, or what we're proposing as Calhoun County Code 613. Effectively, what that does is creates a pathway from animal control officer to either one of two options, a hearing examiner or a dangerous dog board. And what either of those options can do is here's evidence presented by an animal control officer who has declared an animal dangerous. And then based on the evidence that they've been presented, make the actual determination that an animal is or is not dangerous or potentially dangerous. It also provides an appellate process for anyone whose animal has been declared potentially dangerous or dangerous. Both of these aspects are incredibly important because going forward, any individual whose animal has been declared potentially dangerous or determined potentially dangerous or dangerous could conceivably be charged of a criminal offense later on if they fail to follow the prescribed remedial I guess functions or efforts, take the remedial efforts to ensure that their animal is not in any way, shape, or form going to continue with its dangerous behavior. And if it does, it won't harm another individual within the county. And so providing that due process also provides the individual owners the due process to where later on, if they are charged criminally, they can't say that they were not provided due process in the original underlying offense. In addition to that, because we're making these changes, we have other codes need to reflect the changes, or we're proposing these changes. The commissioners, you get to make the changes if you see or adopt them and see if you determine that they're fit. But we're proposing further changes because they affect other areas within the broader code. In Calhoun County Code 2.05, there are two definitional areas that need to be addressed for hearing examiners generally, because they'll be able to hear at minimum the appellate issues regarding 612 as well as 613. That's the overview of what we're bringing to you gentlemen today. If you have any questions, we're open to those now.
Go ahead.
I'll hit a few spots. We're familiar with the hearings examiner that we contract for, for the planning commission. This must be a distinct hearings examiner. Do we have such a thing already instituted?
So, Commissioner Mortensen, you bring up a good point. And so let's walk this back a bit. The hearing examiner, as proposed, would only be there for appellate issues. I think the hearing examiner that is currently used is one who could potentially review any appellate issues for determination. The thing that we bring as two potential options is when an animal is designated or declared by an animal control officer, the owner or person in control of that animal has an opportunity to contest that declaration or admit the declaration or say there are extenuating circumstances that led to. In two of those instances, it would then be forwarded to either A, what we have designed and proposed to the commission is a dangerous dog board. And I'll get to that in a moment. Or if the Board of Commissioners determines that that may not be something they elect to do, a hearing examiner. And then it's either one of those two bodies can hear at a prescribed time, hear the facts as presented by the animal control officer, hear witnesses' testimony, and then make a decision and determination at that point. Now, if the board was to elect solely for a hearing examiner, we do not have one currently, and so RFQs would need to be put out requesting probably local attorney to step in for the role of a hearing examiner in these specific cases.
Does it have to be an attorney?
Yes, well, no, but a hearing
That's a
examiner.
good answer.
A hearing
Sorry.
examiner as an attorney who is sitting alone, unattached to any county function, would likely be the better option than saying a general citizen who does not have a functioning understanding of the rules of evidence and how to apply fact to law. Now, that doesn't, the answer to your question is next comes with the dangerous dog board. A dangerous dog board would be filled with citizens from the community, all of them who have probably understanding and some sort of attachment to animals and how they act or just any sort of interest in them. The board, again, would make a request for applicants to apply for that, and what we suggest is a board of about 5. These would be voluntary positions, and they would sit in front of, as a hearing board for any individual whose animal has been declared as potentially dangerous or dangerous. Again, the ACO would present to them. Now, with my investigation, the dangerous dog board that I reviewed specifically is up in Lewis County. That was implemented, I think, in 2019 following a significantly costly lawsuit. One of the civil attorneys sits in during these dangerous dog board meetings and advises them on procedure. Not on the law itself, but on procedure. This is, you know, either option is a good option. The option that we have presented to the board specifically through 613 anticipates a dangerous dog board being elected.
Is this a political board or a matter of fact board?
It's a matter of fact, board. I would hate for politics to be engaged in the determination of fact.
I would think with that, we'd want a DVM involved in some form or another.
A
The doctor of veterinary,
There-
veterinary medicine.
That could be one individual. I think Lewis County does have one who is involved in there. You know, these are, again, they're individuals who are, you know, who care about animals, who care about proper treatment of animals, but also ensuring that animals act accordingly within the community. I believe there's a farmer on there.
Sure.
But then, you know, dog,
Are they an advocacy board or a legally they must be an advocacy.
there's no
board, right?
advocacy involved. All they are there, they sit and hear facts presented to them and make a determination of whether the animal control authority and the animal control officer specifically has presented enough facts to determine that an animal is either potentially dangerous or dangerous.
So let me restate the question as, is the control in the officer or in the board, on the board? So can an officer decide that the board was either too lax or too aggressive?
So the animal control officer, one of the issues that we found in 612 is that the determination was provided to the hands of the officer. And that to me is problematic. And I imagine that it's problematic to the board generally because it effectively gave them more power than what they are entitled to. What this option does is the officer is simply there to present, I've declared that this animal is potentially dangerous or dangerous. It's now for you to make the determination that they actually are. And there's no personal investment other than the work that they've done.
That's kind of interesting, isn't it?
Yeah. So when they make the determination, then the officer follows that determination.
The officer, well, at that point, then the board will profess a ruling, give a written ruling as well. And then at that point, there are certain obligations that the owner will have to follow. And if failure to do that, we'll get into what the animal control officer's next process or steps would be.
Does in the human case, we have OPD if they cannot afford a lawyer, right?
That's correct, yeah.
Is there a similar arrangement here?
They can request a lawyer or not. But I don't, this is, this is an instance where if they want to have an attorney represent them, they can obtain an attorney.
Out of their own
to
pocket.
represent- Out of their own pocket. We're not including OPD in this. The state is not providing attorney to the ACO, but the state will provide, or an attorney will sit with the board to advise on procedure.
In a situation where there is the whole process steps have been followed and it's a determination that this animal is to be put down, if I can use that term, that's a possible outcome?
With the initial determination, no. But if there is a further transgressions in which the ACO determines that they're in non-compliance with their obligation, the owner is in non-compliance with the obligations, that is a possibility. But initially, no. There is the sense of redemption written into the code.
Right. I'm not worried so much about that. I'm saying, I'm assuming we've exhausted everything. Can the person take the animal out of state and say, will that satisfy you?
That is one option, yes.
So that is in the code.
I mean, if they choose to remove the animal from Cowlitz County,
Cowlitz County or Washington State?
Cowlitz County, if they choose to remove it from the state of Washington, they're entitled to do that.
Yeah.
But they just simply need to inform the ACO that they're doing, if they've been determined and there are certain obligations they need to meet, they should inform the ACO that they're doing so.
For some reason or other, my gut inclination is I don't want to be accused of shipping my problems to Lewis County.
Right.
So I'd rather just say it's got to be out of state or we speak for the state. Anyhow. Those are all the offhand questions I had.
This board could come up with, if you keep this animal, it needs to be in a fenced area, or it needs to have a muzzle in public. I mean, there could be a whole list of things, right?
Absolutely. There are specific requirements that are listed within 1613
Okay.
that also follow 1608 RCW and 1613-100. There are certain compliance certificate of compliance and obligations that they need to follow. So,
I did think that there's another issue. I tend to look at things more from a generic higher level. And I noticed that in the code change or language change, you went from animal to dog, cat, or ferret. That would normally tell me we're not on the right track. Because there are going to be animals we haven't accounted for that are going to appear, and we're going to have a pathological case. But I think the lawyers typically want something that's very specific, and I'm not supportive of that concept as an attitude on my part. It's like, the animal is dangerous or not. I don't care whether it's a dog or a cat or a ferret or a python.
okay. And when that's easily remedied within spell check.
I beg your pardon?
That's easily remedied if the board would prefer that it be simply a dangerous animal and a potentially dangerous animal rather than a dangerous dog and a potentially dangerous dog, we can make those adjustments, yes.
But because of what you've done, I would assume that your advice of counsel is take the generic language out and put the specific animal category in.
We were specific to dogs. We wrote this specific to dogs. However, 1608 does include animals generally. It doesn't to generalize and broaden the scope of 1613 doesn't impact negatively the force of 613. And if does that answer your question?
Yeah, I think it does.
Yeah. I agree. I think probably the majority, I can't even think of an instance where it would probably be something other than a dog. That's what you hear about, but
Well, like 6.12.180 could be a bat. I might have pet bats because I'm a batty person.
Yeah.
you have ninja piranhas.
Oh, piranha's very good.
There could be a bull that could
Well,
escape
that's-
and gore
that-
someone, and then,
That's true. You could have livestock that go
Yeah.
rogue. Yeah. That's true. Well, I agree. I think we need to have something. I'm hoping that it's not a huge problem that you have to deal with.
so, Commissioner Dahl, that's a good question. And my conversations with other county DPAs have suggested that the Dangerous Animal Board that is in place in Lewis County basically functions from June, July through November. And I think we can guess the reasons why that is. The better weather, the dogs are out roaming, they're less likely cooped up inside.
Yeah.
And the off season is basically December through May, when there really are no citations filed at that time. And that really does coincide with what the current ACOs for our county have also anecdotally stated occurs.
Just a couple of more questions. This one's more perfunctory. This will appear on a motion agenda sometime soon?
Yes, I know that we have, our office basically has 4 more working days, and then we have next week, the 3 civil attorneys will be at continuing legal education so that we can continue to
scary.
provide you the advice that you so endure. But then I myself am on vacation following that, but will return the first day of July. I know that our chief civil does intend to work with me to prepare any documents that the board would need to sign for a motion agenda.
Yeah.
So I'm okay. I mean, there's no urgency here. It's a good thing to do, and I appreciate a lot what you're doing. We don't review things from 1994 as often as we should.
Times do change.
Yeah,
Yeah.
dispositions and yeah. What was the other question? It'll come to me after we all close, right?
Good? Okay. So I think what you're hearing is we're good with this, maybe generalize that one section instead of,
We
Yeah, and
can
then-
generalize 613 to animals.
yeah.
Yes.
And then whenever you have it ready to come to us for deal, we'll be good with it.
Gentlemen, I would be remiss. Yesterday I received something from Health and Human Services regarding 2 sections, 612-170 and 612-180. These are in regards to rabies. They're relatively minor adjustments to those 2 code sections, one including the WAC, reference to the WAC, and that's 612-170. And 612-180 includes the word may, and as in giving some discretion to the health officer.
Yeah. It seemed
seems
pretty simple to
reasonable,
me,
yeah.
yeah.
Okay.
I did, well, as long as we have your colleague here from the Sheriff's Department. It may be an awkward question. How are things going from the Sheriff's Department's view with the changeover?
They are busy. Actually, they're quite a bit busier than what we initially maybe thought that they were going to be. The temporary shelter that we have up has actually proved very valuable. Saved us a lot of money, taking animals to Humane Society. I think we've taken in, I believe, about 60 animals at this point. Almost about half of those have been turned over, re-released back to the owner, found the owner, because we're able to store them at the shelter for up to 72 hours instead of taking them to Humane Society. So they've worked a couple of big cases.
Yeah.
We just seized a couple of a horse and a pony on a livestock cruelty case. Obviously, we had our 11 dogs that we seized early on in the year. And we're working on some livestock in the south end with some sheep, and so they're busy.
I've heard a little bit of that similar vein from other police chiefs too, that it's been more activity than they initially
Yes.
thought it would be or expected.
And we're not quite to those summer months yet where they said it typically gets quite a bit busier.
That seems all right to me.
Yeah.
I think the job is being done.
The way it came to me was it's going to have an effect to the budget that we didn't expect.
Yeah.
That was the conversation, yeah.
Well, we've already given the finance person who isn't here right now a headache. This is just another one.
We gave her palpitations earlier, so.
Yeah.
Mr. Berger brings up a very good point, gentlemen. I've presented you two options. Obviously, we've written the code 613 to include a board. Whether you've made a decision now or intend to speak with Commissioner Weber when he returns in regards to which option you will adopt, I don't know, but we should keep that in the forefront of your minds before we put this into a consent agenda.
I misunderstood you then, because I thought the person, the owner of the animal would have option A or B, and you're saying we have an option of choosing A or B now.
Okay.
My apologies. You have an option. You can choose. We presented to you the preferred option from our office, which would be the board. However, you can also choose to elect to simply have a hearing examiner sit in these.
I prefer the board.
Yeah. I do too.
Okay.
Well, there's your quorum. Okay.
I don't think Commissioner Weber would have an issue with that. He likes public being involved with.
Yeah, I don't, it's,
Okay. Thank you. Okay, looks like we got ARPA update.
by the way, I think one of the articles I saw earlier today says the states have spent $1.7 billion of ARPA money improperly or some such thing.
Really? I
Yeah,
haven't seen that.
fortunately, Kaylee McKay is,
Well, I know that doesn't happen here.
yeah, it's hard to
We are
slip
far
something
too
by her.
mean to let that happen.
Okay, good afternoon, Commissioners. Camilla Eastman with the Auditor's Office. Before you, we have our quarterly update for ARPA. This is our remaining to be allocated. So it's updated with the most recent projects, what's been allocated and what's been spent. If you'd like to take a moment to look that over. We do have one exciting thing on here.
Okay, could you speak a little much better?
Yes. We do have one exciting thing. There is an amount in the amount spent column for Woodland. So we
Oh.
have been making major progress. Well, it's not a huge payment, but we've made progress.
Am I seeing that on this piece of paper somewhere that,
Yes,
Yeah,
it's in the
exit
revenue.
21.
Yeah, exit 21, Woodland, revenue loss side.
Actually spent $32,000, huh?
Yes. We got our first reimbursement request, so we processed that. We did meet with the city of Woodland, and we also met with, well, at the same time, we met with their engineering firm. They let us know the progress. It was a little bit delayed. They found out they need a biological assessment, so that slowed the project down quite a bit. They're working with their engineering firm Kittleson on that. And what they're needing to do still fits in the scope of work for their current agreement that we have. So by the end of 2026, which is their deadline for spending this money, they plan to have the biological assessment 100% done, completed and submitted to agency reviews. And then 60% of the design process is anticipated to be completed. With those two completions, they expect to spend the 2.6 in its entirety.
that'll take him to the end of 26?
Yes, they.
Well, I'm not going to ask any more questions. That's his problem.
Lauren doesn't want to hear anything past
Paybacks.
2024.
Yes.
And long ago, it seems now, the total project cost estimate was around 11 million, 12 million, something like that. And by the time 26 rolls around, it's going to be 2 to 3 times that.
You're talking about the whole exit 21?
Yeah, and
Yeah.
and even at that, it's a patch job. Oh,
It'll
Lord,
take
that
them a
doesn't
few
make
years to get through the public hearings on just the roundabouts alone.
Yeah, that, but it's been a problem for at least 10 years.
Yeah.
And could you repeat what the tie-up is and what problem we may have to solve here?
So they anticipate spending all of their funds before 12/31/2026. They anticipate they'll all be spent. The reason it was delayed was they found out they need a biological assessment. And that seems to be really holding things up on their end.
Last time I had spoken to the mayor about this, I was trying to advise him that he had a clock going and I said, you don't respond adequately and you're going to lose this. But we've already committed to spending the money. Doesn't sound like they've committed to spending the money. Was that an exaggeration on his part?
It does seem that they have committed to it. They even had their engineering firm that they've hired for this at the meeting. And they agreed that those funds would be spent by that time.
Okay.
Between the design and the biological assessment, they do plan to have 60% approximately done before December 31st, 26.
And 60% of the design done?
Yes. They were hoping for 100%, but with the delay with the biological assessment, they're not going to reach that.
I think the issue they're having is that assessment is going to determine how the rest of the design works. So we can't keep moving forward until that assessment's done, and it may change it this
Oh,
way
yeah,
or it may
no,
change it
I'm
that way.
familiar with that. I'm panicking here a little bit because from our county engineer, our esteemed county engineer, I've learned some rules of thumb, and as a move fast kind of individual, I use rules of thumb to say, am I in the right ballpark? And typically at 60%, you've got a lot of on your estimate, but if we're going to spend 2.6 million, 10% tells me that we're looking at least at a $26 million project with a fair amount of uncertainty. And someone's going to be looking for that money. It's not your problem. I mean, I completely appreciate this. This is just,
Well, I know they put in requests to the feds. They have the last couple of years. They have not been awarded anything,
yeah.
but you're right. It's going to be a huge sum.
They may come to a point where the putting on another bridge over the narrow part of the Lewis down there and a new on-ramp may be the better solution, maybe slightly more expensive, but oh, I'm asked to start my video. My apologies. There you go.
I will say that their team has been really good at communicating. So that's improved quite a bit. They've made sure to keep us up to date. And so we've at least seen a lot of an improvement in that area.
Good.
Good.
Okay, so any further questions regarding Woodland? Okay. I do have one more quick update. We do need to have MOUs be used to officially obligate the funds within the county that we have obligated to different departments for their projects. So we have started working on that. We actually have a version of it in review at the PA's office right now. That will need to be done to truly obligate by 12/31/24. So once we have that back, you'll be seeing that come through for retroactive. We have quite a few projects out there that don't have it with our departments. So we'll be having those. And then in the future, anytime we obligate funds within the county, we'll have this MOU once it's completed. Outside of that, we don't have any new requests for ARPA at the moment. And I don't think we have any more updates. That was everything we had.
I'm thinking we've got 845,000 if we don't care which of those two pools it's in. Do you have any inclinations of what we should be looking at there?
Yeah, I don't. When I look down through this list, I know Beacon Hill had other projects too. I don't know if there's anything that makes sense. I don't know if you can use some of that because we may have, can some of the stuff, depending on what we find at Hall of Justice, can it be used in that sense? I don't know.
It all just depends on what the project is.
Yeah,
Beacon Hill did have a full list when they first came of things that they were seeking help, and we picked, I think, one
I
project.
think we picked the one that we felt was the most
Yeah.
important. They had a water storage facility that was
Mhm.
like from the 20s.
Yeah, I couldn't keep up with the population it's now
So that one
servicing,
kind of
so.
made sense to me, where they wanted to duplicate all the lines. I figured, well, that, that, not so much, but
So we can always reach back out to him and see if he has any projects to bring back to the board for presentation or for consideration.
We might hold off for a little bit before that to find out what the Hall of Justice
Yeah.
will do for us or to us.
I think that I would agree. That'd probably be my first preference if we figure out what is causing the problem over that, depending on what it could do, we maybe
840.
ice some of this and slow down the heart rate on our finance officer.
Yeah, I'm wondering, is 845K a down payment on a new Hall of Justice?
Well, you never know.
You're gonna give me a heart attack.
Get one problem solved,
No,
start
for-
another.
for that amount of money, we could have purchased Hofstad Bluffs.
Yes. Yes.
And don't get Kim started on that.
Yeah, well,
Yes.
Okay, anything else? We appreciate your time. We appreciate the update. Thank you.
Thank you.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah, so I'm looking, the amount spent now, that's for the 1,839,000 and change, that's out of the 10 million and something, right?
I'm sorry, what line are you looking at?
I'm just saying, we've had this money more or less available for 18 months.
Mhm.
So the 1.8 is only the public works projects. So we've actually spent 3.1, almost 3.2.
Total spent.
Yeah,
Okay,
yeah.
yeah.
Gotcha.
Is that for both, no, that's just for the revenue loss.
Yes.
Yes.
The direct qualification is much more slow moving. A lot of these projects though, I mean, I don't know if Susan wants to be put on the spot today or not. I do know that most of these projects, including Public Works, but like Beacon Hill's a good example. They're close to 900,000. That is about to get going in August, so it
Mhm.
will start flowing out much more quickly come this summer. Sorry, Susan.
I think there's probably still, nothing's been decided, but I think there's still some talk and about extending.
Yeah,
Deadline.
yeah, they're still fighting. We sign every petition that comes through. But yeah, they're still working on it to try and push out those dates.
So, Mr. Chairman, we've been pretty much on the same page for, there are things that need to be done that are construction or constructive, we should do them. And I'm getting a little antsy. If I were a blind program manager, I'd say we're not going to make it.
So we are pushing through. We have, I can give you an update on all the projects. I updated my list for you guys.
While she's passing those out, I do want to talk about those MOUs again. So those are exactly what Camilla was addressing, that it puts us in contract with Public Works to be past that 2024 and allow them until 2026 is what those MOUs are doing. So they
Okay.
don't have, yep.
I actually was going to ask that question. If we have
Yes.
those MOUs in place and one of these is, January and we're trying to get the construction contract signed. Yay.
The MOUs are new. They, ARPA has been releasing guidance every month that changes. So it wasn't actually until the last few months, I want to say, that they finally gave clear guidance on MOUs will obligate that funding within counties and secure it. So we're much safer now.
So by doing that, we do not necessarily honor, let's use the money today while it's still worth a little bit and get a good project done, but it does honor the time constraint.
Yes.
Yes.
But the end date still, so far, doesn't change unless, there are a lot of counties in the same boat.
Yes,
Yep.
there is.
So that's happy news for me because we've been pushing hard and I'm not going to stop my push hard to
You're a
bid.
mind reader.
Yeah, to get all my projects bid August, September, so that we're getting things signed. So if you want a quick update, our Tootle water pump stations, they have been submitted to DOH for approval and there is no right-of-way required on that. So as soon as we have that approval, we can start moving forward on that. And I'm waiting on the WashDOT permit because some of that work is in the WashDOT right-of-way. The Riderwood Emergency Water Supply, we had our shorelines hearing, and so that is now in its 21-day appeal process. We are working on getting our possession and use and then finalizing property acquisition, and it has also been submitted for DOH approval. So we're still looking optimistically for a September bid. Shadow Mountain Extension and Pump Station, that is also all at DOH and working on property acquisition. Camelot Loss, that's in with ecology, since it's a sewer sanitary, and we're hoping to get that in July so we can do an August bid. I still set September on there, but I'm hoping that one will move over. Toutle wastewater treatment plant upgrades, we just submitted the SEPA and we're working as quickly as we can on the designs. And then I added on that water meter replacement project that was recently approved, and we're working on procurement of the meters so that we can just start installing them along while we're doing our service line inventory, so that they're only opening those once. The construction for the revenue replacement on our road projects. Project 1 is complete. That was the temporary bridge. Hazeldale Road slide repair, that's the soldier pile wall. Oh, you have, that contract was actually executed yesterday. We have a pre-construction meeting set up for Thursday. There is lead time on the piles and some of the steel components, so the work will physically start in August. So we'll have a little money, construction money in the third quarter, but most of the construction money, due to the way our billing goes, will come out of the fourth quarter. Rock Creek Culvert, we've sent our 60% plan comments back to the engineer. They're moving ahead with those corrections. And while that is going on, permits are being submitted, and we're working on getting the right of way, what we're going to need to find. We have a negotiation agent in place, and he's made initial reach out to the Belfields. So we're moving forward with that. We're hoping to have our possession and use in hand and going out to bid in September. South Cloverdale Road. We're gathering all of our documents for WashDOT for our Type 2 certification. The environmental has been resolved. So once we have that Type 2 certification, you will be seeing in July the local agency agreement to obligate the construction funding with WashDOT. Once that is signed off, we'll be able to go out to bid for that project. So we're on track with that project for a September bid. And West Side Highway slide repair staff is working on that. Also, it's going to be 100% in the right of way, so there's no right of way on that project.
You forgot to mention the bicycle lane,
Which bicycle lane? The Cloverdale bicycle lane?
the one on the South Cloverdale Road.
Yes, our wider shoulder bicycle lane will be in place. And I will tell you, that is what triggered the environmental review, because we added, it increased our footprint of asphalt. So they said, as you increased your impervious surface of asphalt and cars could potentially drive on it, releasing the 6 ppq. So therefore, we have to go back and treat it. And that is why
Hey, whose
environmental
side
was
are you on?
reopened. So.
Looks like a lot of activity. Third quarter, we'll be seeing a lot of stuff.
Yes, third quarter, you'll be seeing a lot of the ones going out to bid. The dollars won't start flowing until fourth quarter and first quarter of next year.
Good.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Okay. Once again, we appreciate the update. Thank you.
Thank you, commissioners.
Thank you, commissioners.
Thank you.
I don't see any hands. I don't see any. Well, we do have a citizen, but I know she's connected to you, so,
She's a bodyguard.
yeah. Without anything else,
Good.
I think we will adjourn. Thank you.